everybody. Welcome back to episode 5 of Empowering Educators here at Boerne High School. I'm Kacey Forks, an instructional coach here, along with Chad Anderson, my co-host. And we have a special guest today, Erica Hill. She is the teacher here. We'll get more into all our introductions in a little bit.
Yeah, please check us out on our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, comment if you like what you're seeing and hearing. Help us grow that page. We would appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we've got a great topic today. We're talking about executive functioning skills. And executive functioning with students these days is definitely, or it can be problematic. I think there's been a pretty big shift, and I guess we should talk about what executive functioning is before we actually talk about the culture of school these days.
Yeah, and as always, we're putting research behind what we're doing today, and again, we're using Jim Knight, who is our instructional coach guru, and basically going through an impact cycle here with Erica. We've going to identify an issue that our students need to work on, learn together through the process, and then hopefully the result will be that the students improve. But executive function skills, these are things where students are struggling with things like time management, organization, planning, prioritizing, focus, attention,
getting
things
things
like
turned in
that.
on time,
Yeah.
just even simple routines and procedures, and getting accustomed to that. And our executive functioning skills are obviously important as students, but also it's important that we prepare them just to be equipped for life in general. Like it's just, so often we think about school being content, but there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah, and what makes it a challenge that Erica has seen with her students is research states that the part of the brain responsible for executive functioning skills doesn't develop until the mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
So she's got 14, 15-year-olds in her classroom, and so that presents a challenge, but something that we can put structures in place to help grow those skills.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of ways too that we can look at improving executive function. It's those clear routines and structures, visual aids, graphic organizers, checklists and planners, and chunking tasks, and really working on that time management piece and talking that through with kids and how you go about managing your time and prioritizing. I think a big one too is that self-monitoring. When they learn and have the ability to really check themselves, that's huge. A lot of adults struggle with that as well. That's something we can all benefit from.
Yeah, I think these executive function skills that we'll talk about, I think it'll help with some of the perceptions sometimes that kids are lazy, maybe kids are just rude, but if we know research says that those skills aren't developed yet, right, then if we provide the structure, then that's when can we see a change in their behavior, their organization. So that'll be part of the goal as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it with our guest. Erica, you want to tell us a little bit about you, how long you've been in work?
My name is Erica Hill, and this is my 12th year of teaching, and I taught most of my time in the Houston area. With a very different population than I'm teaching now at Boerne High School. So where I started off in Galena Park, and actually where I finished my time in Houston was also in Galena Park. I taught 9th and 10th graders, and we were in my first high school. I was there for 5 years, and I taught 9th grade. I taught everything from the co-teach classes to honors classes. They threw me in with co-teach right away. I think that's what usually happens. But the kids were great, and like I said, it was about it still is growing, 97% Hispanic population. And I loved my time there. I had a lot of my mom's kids, because she taught pre-K and kindergarten there. And so I had a lot of their, siblings, the family community. Then I spent 2 years teaching 7th grade at Crosby Middle School, and I also had my first son. Then that was COVID, It was also 7th grade, which I learned from, and then I went back to high school and back in Galena Park, and I taught on the other side of the district. And I taught 10th grade there for 3 years, and before moving to Bernie. And then this is my 2nd year teaching 9th grade at Bernie High School.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And you're teaching English?
Yes, English.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you said this is your 12th year, right,
Mhm.
going in? So what kind of changes have you seen? Because you were pre-COVID, right, when
Yeah.
you started, and then through COVID, and then
Mhm.
now, and kind of being in different
Yeah.
places. What kind of changes have you seen in your kids?
I think, struggles with turning in work has been a very consistent thing the entire time I've been teaching. I think the thing I'm seeing the most is the distraction in class. And maybe that's just the rise in, I don't think kids have short attention spans anyway, but it is dramatically different within the past 4 years. It's been very, very different. They will even tell you that, and I think that also the way our society talks about it has changed some too, because kids will be like, I can't focus more than 3 minutes. And I'm like, well, you gotta learn how to do that, right? That's a part of being an adult, right? So, that their attention spans in class have changed, the reliance and dependence on technology has definitely changed. Technology was always a thing, even before COVID. Cell phones were a thing before COVID, but it's the almost, I can't let it go.
Function without it.
Yes. I have to have it right beside me at all times that I've seen the difference.
Yeah.
And from that, as a result, I think sometimes there's other things suffer. So organization suffers, even though that's still an issue, without it. Even the ability to because we in our class will have, because I've seen this as an issue, we will have okay, take out your planners. You can even take out your phones, whatever you put things on to remember, do that. But because our attention span is so short, sometimes we're like, no, we're not even gonna do that.
Yeah.
Right? Because it takes too much from us. So yeah, I've seen that. Attention usually is probably the biggest change that I've seen,
Do you feel like that's mostly because of that I tend to, and I don't know if that's from COVID or if I'm kind of talking all over the place here, or if it's that constant, when they're scrolling through TikTok or looking at Reels or anything, that attention, it's,
I'm
you
sure
watch
that
it
has a lot
for
to do
20
with
seconds
it.
and I will, myself even, I get to where if I'm watching a reel and it's longer, I'm like, I've seen the bulk of it, and I'll flip through it. And I have noticed that recently in myself, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is not good.
No,
My attention's
that's what I was
even.
gonna say, because I see it in myself, even since getting an iPhone, right, as opposed to what we had before, right? It's completely different.
Yeah.
Like, my attention span is so much shorter. Even when I'm reading a book, sometimes I have to, force myself, and it's something I truly enjoy,
Right.
to force myself to not check this,
Yes.
check that, right? Because it's just become a part of us. Our
Right.
brains, I think, have changed
Mhm.
because of it. And we can see that because we know before and after.
Right.
They don't.
And I think it's crazy how quickly it happens. So same thing with the reading. Prior to this summer when I moved here, I'm still an avid reader. I'm sort of in a slump right now. But because when I was moving, I was packing, I was doing things, I didn't sit and do the thing, and then I started a new job, all of that. So I put the books away, and what I did notice was that as I was more involved with looking at social media or whatnot, now it is harder for me when I go back, my attention span.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it truly is a thing, and I think my point here is how quickly it shifts, and you have to build up to that. You don't need to check it, you don't want to check it, it's not right there, so that is something, like you said, as adults, we recognize this.
Yeah.
How do we help kids detach themselves and then do, that's the big question.
And I think it's also difficult, as teachers in schools, because you're not just contending with the student, you're contending with parents and, you know, outside things. And so it's like you can try to teach those habits of putting away the phone. You don't need it all the time, right? You know, writing things down as opposed to even putting it in your phone, right? Doing stuff like that, giving them extended periods of time to read and focus or whatever. But at the same time, you're also fighting the outside factors that are saying, but no, they need this. And sometimes, you know.
And we're back.
Yeah.
So we're working with, talking about some strategies to help with maintaining our attention, with organization, balancing time. Study skills. So I wonder, because I had this same thing with the class, had a few years ago, so I'm kind of wondering, would they respond at all to a challenge of, I mean, we're talking 10 minutes. Like, you take 10 minutes, you know, in the evening to study for this quiz. Like, and it's a short amount of time, or go shorter if you want, but just give them something that's manageable, and then have them do some time of commit, like get them to commit to it, and then to see
if there's a change.
If there's a change.
That a challenge may work, especially with those honors kids. They like a challenge.
Yeah, because that did for me. I had a commitment sheet. I mean, I went all like, I mean, in some ways it's maybe not the level of high school, but at the same time, they maturity-wise and academic-wise, they're not really ninth graders, right?
Exactly,
They're still
and
kind of in
also,
middle
if not
school.
now, when?
Right.
They need to do it now. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That too is, it puts them in competition with each other a little bit, or if you can even make that a part of it too. You know,
I wonder if I could get away to like hold them accountable to do that. They would have to like, and get the phone out of their hand. They have to film themselves studying, something like that.
Oh, I like
that. So that they have that, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, and then
I like that.
And then some type of reward, like what is the class average on quizzes right now? Can we increase it by whatever percent? And just make that a challenge, and
that's a good idea. Yeah,
and that's easily measurable.
Because of the other things you're already doing. They already have planners. You already have a schedule. They have their binders. It's
just
going.
getting
It's going
to
back.
implement it.
Right.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And then, and then see, and then, what would it take if you added 2 more minutes, in a few weeks, 2 weeks or so, what would that do to your grade? And then you just kind of modeling and saying, like, when you study, this is what you need to do.
That's what I was going to say. It might be beneficial too to actually sit down, take 10 minutes one day and say, this is what studying looks like. This is how you do it. So you get your stuff out. This is how you walk through it. This is.
And I think that it's hard. I mean, English is a hard class to study for because it's a skills-based class. It's kind of like studying for math, and they don't see that connection, but like you practice it, right? You have to practice, whether it's reading and pulling something out and making inferences about it, or if it's writing about what you, and then you have to kind of compare it to an exemplar, right? You take yours, you compare it. It's a different.
It's very different.
Yeah, it's not even studying for grammar is different because you have to put it in sentences. You have to the
application piece of it and what it looks like. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So does that sound like something you might want to
I think I'm going to try that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess the first step then will be to also look at what their quiz average is, and that's a piece, and then talk to them about it, issue that challenge, and then you can measure that.
Find a reward, and then
incentivize them.
And you do weekly quizzes? Is that what you said?
They're not weekly. It's just whenever we finish up a unit of whatever it is. So with grammar, it's like once we finish all the nouns, you have a quiz on that. Once we finish all the adjectives, you have. So our next one that will come up will be on adjectives. And then we also do book quizzes, of course, just check for reading and
So when is your next quiz for either one of those?
We probably will have an adjective quiz next because we're having our DCA ECR coming up where they're going to have to write, so we won't have time for that. So it'll be within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Definitely.
And the good
Perfect.
thing is, if you're doing the parts of speech, those are comparable, you know, so
Yeah.
like, if it's nouns first, then adjectives,
Uh-huh.
then that is something that, you know,
Yeah.
is apples to apples.
Yes.
You know, because it's not a completely different.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the idea of like the way we've planned it out.
Right.
But
Yeah. No, I think that's a great strategy. I like it too. I feel like it's not going to be a lot on you. It's
Yeah.
really putting it on them. And
and
which
that's
is,
I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing here is a lot more of, you know, and being like you said at the beginning, being able to self-monitor and making sure that you are doing those things,
Yes.
right? That it's
Yeah.
your responsibility.
Right.
and maybe just try it with the P-Tech group or the honors group. Don't try
Yeah.
it with the others. Kind of
yeah.
see, Emily, unless you're
Yeah.
comfortable with it, but kind of see how it works with them, and then you'll figure out what adjustments to make, and if you
Yeah.
want to do it with your own level, if you think that's beneficial, then we can look at that. So in a couple weeks, we can kind of
Yeah.
maybe compare some quiz grades,
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I think.
Perfect.
Well, we appreciate your time, Erica.
Thank
Thanks
you so much.
much. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with episode 6 in a couple weeks, so stay tuned for that.
Bye.